Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña of the Department of Science and Technology, our esteemed colleagues in the various fields of science, research, and development, our partners in other government agencies and the private sector, and to all who are sharing their time with us. A pleasant day to all. Truly, I am honored to be here with you in the 6th National Research and Development Conference to share insights on the intervention efforts against COVID-19, especially as they relate to the vital interface of research and policy. Upon the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Health immediately activated the system's approach to the response and management of the pandemic to promote the seamless implementation of COVID-19 interventions across all levels of government. The DOH focused its planning, policy development, legislative advocacies, and research to address COVID-19 concerns swiftly. Firstly, with respect to the financial realities of the health sectors, the department's operational and strategic planning included ensuring the availability and augmentation of the budget to amply support universal health care implementation alongside delivering on COVID-19 priorities. The 2021 DOH budget aimed to bridge the gap in the health system's fiscal space to amply adapt to the public health crisis and its transition to the new normal. For this year, a total of 166.52 billion pesos have been allotted for the implementation of the UHC Act and health system resiliency, to which by 2022 is expected to increase by 80% to an estimated 343 billion pesos. Corollary to this increasing budget is the intensified coordination and collaboration with DOH units in the review of their plans and budget proposals to ensure alignment and appropriate prioritization of investments in this time of the pandemic. Of course, the responsible and transparent administration of this budget requires the placement and guidance of strong policies, as well as the improvement of policy processes. Towards these, we established the COVID-19 Policy Tracker, which provides an easily accessible monitoring dashboard for all pandemic response-related policies issued and posted in the DOH Administrative Issuance System billboard. The Policy Tracker was deemed vital, especially because the urgency of the response needed to be driven by the appropriate urgency in policy development. Breakthrough policies, such as the Implementing Rules and Regulations of Republic Act 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act, significantly aided and expedited the development of necessary policies. Other aspects were also guided by appropriate policies, such as the DOH-NTF Joint Administrative Order 2021-0001, which established the IRR of Republic Act 11525 and paved the way for the national vaccination campaign to fight COVID-19. In addition to these policies, the DOH also ensured its stance to support COVID-19 concerns as undertaken by the department's legislative liaison arm. These contributed significantly to the success of critical legislative measures to combat COVID-19, such as Bayanihan 1, which declared a state of emergency and authorized emergency measures to mitigate the effects of the pandemic. Bayanihan 2, which augmented funds to COVID-19 response and recovery, and the COVID-19 Vaccination Program Act, which allowed us to embark on the next stage of our fight against the pandemic. Still, the pandemic is not yet over, which is why the DOH continues to sustain legislative advocacies to support the coming stages of our recovery, developing legislation such as Bayanihan 3, which will also augment funds for the COVID-19 response, vaccination, and recovery, the creation of the Philippine Centers for Disease Prevention and Control for the handling of public health events of national concern and boosting of the country's public health surveillance, creation of the Virology Institute of the Philippines under DOST for focused virological research and diagnostics, therapeutic tools, and relevant scientific innovations, and finally, the National Health Security Act, a law which shall strengthen the implementation of international health regulations in the country. These developing legislations will not only guide our way out of the pandemic, but also put the necessary reforms in place to strengthen and prepare our health systems for any coming health crisis of any scale. Throughout all this, the DOH reinforced political engagements through close collaborations between the DOH and legislative branch through accommodating requests in aid of legislation and requests for constituency support, and the conduct of information sessions focused on updating legislators as well as national and local organizations of laws and policies related to COVID-19. As for our national vaccination campaign, part of our efforts to ensure maximum benefits for all Filipinos is our provision of technical assistance to local chief executives for the COVID-19 vaccination and deployment program, which covered activities such as the conduct of orientation activities on the COVID-19 vaccination and deployment program to the local chief executives of Pangasinan, close coordination with the district representatives of Regions 1, 2, CAR, and National Capital Region in the implementation of PDITR strategy. Coupled with these were the partnerships we sought with the Philippine Congress, local government units, the private sector in the conduct of webinars and town halls on COVID-19 vaccination program, which were part of the intensified information campaign to boost vaccine confidence. However, this governance allows us to deliver excellent public health. It is research that truly pushes public health forward. In recognition of this and in response to the needs of the pandemic, the DOH has relentlessly expanded its coverage and platforms for research to catalyze the generation, consolidation, and monitoring of timely, accurate, and scientifically sound information on COVID-19. Innovations in this area have resulted in the creation of 2 data portals to capture the fast-evolving evidence of SARS-CoV-2. DOH COVID-19 Local Evidence Database, which harmonizes local evidence generation on COVID-19 by consolidating research at various stages, calls for proposals, and other relevant technical papers. This aids in the dissemination of information and reduces the potential duplication of efforts. On the other hand, the DOH COVID-19 meta-summaries are intended to provide summarized evidence on reviews related to COVID-19 with a preference for rapid reviews developed by local institutions or groups with expertise in evidence-based medicine and by internationally recognized international groups such as Cochrane Collaboration. Ongoing studies on COVID-19 are currently being funded by the DOH Advancing Health through Evidence-Assisted Decisions Program. As professionals both in science and medicine, we must continue pushing the envelope using the technologies, methodologies, and growing knowledge available to us to spur the generation of more local evidence for policy development and to promote informed, scientifically sound decision-making on public health measures. As the lead technical agency in public health, the DOH formed the steering committee for the conduct of clinical trials for investigational treatments for COVID-19 to provide overall national-level supervision and technical guidance in the conduct of clinical studies for potential treatments for COVID-19. Beyond the technical guidance, the steering committee shall also ensure that decision-making is indeed supported by evidence while at the same time exercising oversight in multi-country clinical trials such as the Avigan and Solidarity trials. Aside from the appropriate scientific rigor, these measures seek to ensure proper quality assurance as well as checking compliance to regulatory and data safety of requirements of clinical trials conducted locally. In relation to this, the DOH Single Joint Research Ethics Review Board has been designated by the Philippine Vaccine Experts Panel as the Central Ethics Committee to facilitate ethics reviews of vaccine clinical trials and COVID-19 studies to be implemented in the country. This body strictly ensures the compliance of clinical trials and all other forms of research undertakings in COVID-19 with all relevant ethical principles and standards. The synergy of research, policy, and legislation is what will push the state of Philippine public health forward. The DOH continue moving on all these fronts because science, especially science for medicine, should never be practiced without ethics. It is only through equal measures can science and ethics produce genuine benefit for humanity. As we all share our visions and paths to realize better tomorrows for the country, let us always keep in mind our shared goal and responsibility to create better lives for everyone. Maraming salamat at mabuhay tayong lahat.